original states. What do you draw from it? What do Americans today draw from that? We draw the importance of certain things that are still here today. But I would tell you, Burr was much more intent on finding a visible way to make America understand that faith was at the core of this country. If not, how could you walk off of the rotunda to find stuffed over outside of the Speaker's office a small but used chapel? Think about this, an institution on both ends that open up every day with prayer. Yet when we go into legislative session, it's all about how to chase prayer out of everything that we do. Burr understood what was so significant about this country, even though he was Italian. He understood that it was about the core of the American people that was so great. Now walk with me outside of the Capitol, down the National Mall, where we memorialize Washington and Jefferson and Lincoln, where we memorialize the sacrifices of World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam vets. This is not by mistake. This is for an important reason. This is because this country, though young, has all its life in front. And those generations before us understood that those memorials had to signify what was important for generations to interpret when they were no longer here. Today we do a tribute to troops. No greater sacrifice can an individual make than the ultimate sacrifice for their country. But it's time that we stop and ask, why? We're the most generous country in the world. We're generous to a fault sometimes. But we have been, and we will be. We're a country that puts tremendous value on the freedoms that people have. We have been a country that stood by our allies, even when it wasn't popular. We have been a country that told the world what we were going to do, and we did it. Ooh. Hope that wasn't your dessert. We told the world what we would do, and amazingly we went out and we did it. This is about character. It's about conviction. It's about commitment. Can you trust us? Most of the world believes that they can. Why? Because we're incredibly honest. We have a rule of law. And when we break it, we punish people. Conviction. What does America believe? Well, it's rooted in those pictures by Constantino Burr. We believe in God. We believe that government has a role. But we believe inherently that the people are the nucleus of this country and not government. You don't... You don't see memorialized government in Washington. You see memorialized the efforts of people. Ronald Reagan used to say that he never could understand what was so special about the United States Constitution. Every country had one. He said, it wasn't until I read theirs that I understood what was so powerful about ours. There starts we the government. Think about it. Sometimes we search to make this difficult, when in fact it is incredibly simple. All we need to do is look at the clues that have been left for us to understand the obligation that we have, the responsibility that we have. Commitment. How hard are you willing to work for it? Today we memorialize those of you who didn't ask how much. You said yes. Truth is that we've got to decide who we are. Are we that country that continues to grow, that Lincoln saw enough promise in that he was able to disregard the struggle between individuals and to believe that there was something there to salvage and to save that could be great in the future? I believe it is. This is a fight. November 2nd is a fight about the core. Our core of the United States. This is not a difference between Republicans and Democrats. This is a fight over who we are, and more importantly, whether we're going to continue to be that country that our founding fathers envisioned. The difficulty is sometimes we're just not reminded of why. I happen to have the privilege to work in an institution where I'm reminded every time I walk down the hall, because I see that picture, I see that statue. I look out on the mall and I see the memorials. The greatest thrill I have right now is for the honor flights to come to Washington, to see the warriors from World War II with canes and wheelchairs, and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see what took so long for us to build. To recognize as a country that we've got to go back and apologize to every service member who came back from Vietnam and didn't get thanked. The great thing about America is it's never too late. As long as we never forget who we are or why we're here. Now, you might think that I never go through struggles of trying to have that constant reminder. I do. And I think most members do. But I've also got something else that guides me no matter where I am. You see, a year ago, as I dedicated the Veterans Memorial in Asheville, the conclusion of that celebration, there was a crowd around me, and I saw one older gentleman, not elderly, come up and reach on his arm and grab something off, and he put it on my wrist. It wasn't until I got to my car that I realized what he'd put on my wrist was his son's KIA bracelet from Iraq. All he said to me was, "Now's the time for you to wear this." I got back to Washington and I sat down to write this father a note. And truthfully, I didn't know what to say. So I called one person that I thought had the answer, and I called John McCain. And I told him the story, and John said, "Richard, I've been given 22 of them." He said, "I still wear the first one I've got. But 21 of them sit in a box beside my bed, and they will be buried in my casket with me." He said, "You can only respond this way: I will wear